Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Nintendo Prime Podcast. I am, as always, your hostess with the mostest, Nathaniel Rufflejance, joined by co-host, Mr. Eric Moore.
How's it going, everybody?
And this week we have two guests. One is kind of a semi-regular, pops up once or every 3 podcasts or so, Mr. GameOverJesse.
Glad to be here once again. It's always awesome to be on talking about all the Nintendo news.
Oh yeah. And we have a new person this week. Literally just met him minutes ago. The Nintendo Guru, also known as Bobby.
Yes. What is up, guys? You know, this is a little weird. I just met Jesse like last week, and I actually did a show with him, Nintendo Talk Live, one of my shows, one of my 10 million shows that I do. And so now I actually get to hang out with him again. This is kind of awesome. So thank you for having me on. This is pretty cool.
Yeah, no problem. You were suggested by Jesse. I was looking for some people. I don't want to make you guys feel bad. I had other guests planned, and they backed out.
Always happy to be a backup.
But Jesse knows.
Wow.
Jesse's always like...
So you only put me here because someone backed out. Well, I'm leaving then. You guys have a good night.
I mean, actually, you're here. You could thank Jesse. Jesse's the one that's like, hey, this Nintendo Guru guy is pretty good. You should get him on.
Ah, that's awesome. Thank you, Jesse.
Oh.
So,
just trying to return the favor of being invited on your show. So
thank you.
So this is retro week. All right, we're going retro here. Although obviously we're trying to relate it as much as we can to current events going on with Nintendo and potentially like classic systems that could have come out in the future. But I felt like, you know, we have Mario Odyssey coming out. We just did a big Mario Odyssey topic last week. We talk a lot about Switch around here. I felt like it was time to look back to the past. We have 4 topics this week that are specific to classic Nintendo. Let's just hop into that first topic. The Game Boy Classic is a thing that's been rumored lately, right? There was not a patent, but it was a trademark that was filed in Japan for the Game Boy. The OG Game Boy design as a video game system kind of thing that you play in your home for some reason. Could be hinting towards what they're planning for the Classic. And then obviously related merchandise, which, I don't know. I mean, there's Game Boy merchandise, like officially licensed, coming out in the United States all the time, but that might not be the case in Japan. So we decided that we are going to come up with 10 titles from each of us. Game Boy, well, basically Game Boy titles that we want to see on a potential Game Boy Classic.
I know I have to cheat a little bit and go with a little bit of Game Boy Color, but
yeah, squeezing a little color in there. He was a Game Boy Color man over there, Mr. Eric. So yeah, and then just as a little tease, because I was told that teasers are good for some reason.
all right.
Towards the end of this topic, we are going to try to fiercely agree upon a top 10, no particular order, of course. So getting on with the list, Mr. Eric Moore, we're going to have you start since I punished you last week having you go last.
Yeah, you did. Good God.
It was torture. It's like, I have nothing to say. HMK said everything.
Yep, he did.
So give me 10 games. You already teased you're going to have to cheat a little bit in color.
I am.
Okay.
So right off the bat, we're going to just go with 2 color games. Mario Tennis, Mario Golf. Then I'm going to go with a little bit of Bubble Bobble.
I have to say,
what?
If you miss Mario Golf, you need to pick up Golf Story right now.
Okay.
Telling you.
Okay.
It's literally Mario Golf, but better. It's on Switch.
Nice. You got to go with the classic Pokemon. Red, Blue, Yellow.
Okay.
A Madden game. Doesn't matter which one.
Doesn't matter.
NBA Jam.
Okay.
Just Pac-Man. You got to go with your good old classic Pac-Man. Paperboy.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Didn't have that one.
Yeah. Super Mario Land and Tecmo Bowl.
All right.
Can't tell I'm a sports fan.
No, you're not a sports gamer at all. Pretty good list. Pretty solid. All right. Let's skip on over to the new guy, Mr. Bobby, the Nintendo Guru.
All right, so let's get some real games on this list, shall we? We're gonna start with the be-all, end-all Tetris. It has to be on here.
Yeah.
Got it.
Legend of Zelda: Link's Awakening. I know I probably stole
You're
Jesse's.
destroy my list right now.
Super Mario Land 2, the 6 golden coins. I would go Donkey Kong. Then I would go Mega Man 5. I would go Gargoyle's Quest. Donkey Kong Land. I would probably go 2 on that one.
Okay.
Metroid 2.
Oh. Good choice.
And we'll go Shantae as well.
All right. OG Shantae.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Game over, Jesse. Hit me up. What do we got?
I'm hoping I can get 10 since some.
I'm not going to be able to get 10.
Yeah. So we are including Game Boy Color games, right?
Yeah, sure if you want. Eric did it, so you
I
can do
had
it too.
to. I didn't play much for regular Game Boy games.
I feel like the Game Boy version of the original Donkey Kong needs to be on there. That was one that I played a lot. Dr. Mario, the 2 Zelda Oracle games, Oracle of Ages, Oracle of Seasons. One of my personal favorites was Final Fantasy II on the Game Boy. I played a lot of it.
Okay.
And there's Wario Land, I believe, and
yes, there is.
There's several different Mario games that could be put on there. So I can't think of all of the names specifically, but I feel like there should at least be 3 different Mario games on the list.
Right, yeah.
A ton of them.
Just because there's so many.
If you
of them.
include color, it goes nuts.
But yeah, that would be my list.
It
May not be 10, but that's with everything else being taken,
that's what you got.
I would
That's what you
put on
got.
Here, right?
So I'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like 6. I'm going last, so it's kind of my leftovers. Some of my games are obviously said, but we gotta get Kirby's Dream Land.
Ooh, yes.
I mean, I can't believe no one brought that one up. Now Bobby over there went with Donkey Kong Land 2. I actually like Donkey Kong Land 3 better.
Okay.
So I would throw that one on there.
Solid pick.
This is where I start getting into some, I guess you call them movie tie-ins that didn't suck, in my opinion.
Well, remember back in the day they didn't. So.
Well, I mean, actually, a lot of them did.
Yeah.
a lot of them did. But I just happen to have ones I enjoyed, apparently. So Aladdin. Loved Aladdin. I played a bunch of the Teenage Mutant Turtle games on there, but the one I liked the best was Teenage Mutant Turtles 3, The Radical Rescue, DuckTales, and Tailspin.
Thanks.
Those, I love those games. Love those games. So, we got through our little lists here. Little list for some of us. So now we got to take these lists. We got to come up with what we feel absolutely deserves to be on it. Now, I'm going to put one restriction on it, and that is that when it comes to like a series, there can only be one game from that series. So like it can't have like Super Mario Land and Super Mario Land 2, or like all of the Donkey Kong lands.
Well, you can, but the only problem is if you have Pokemon in there, you have to have at least red and blue.
Well, you could just say Pokemon.
Yellow.
Well, we could just say Pokemon, unless we think Yellow is the superior version.
Well, no, because you have to have both versions to get all
That's
the
if Pokemon makes the list. We're making an assumption.
Oh yeah, okay.
See,
like it's not
this
gonna
is what
make
I
the list.
think. Is what I think should happen. Is I think Nintendo, when they do the classic, they should include the original Pokemon. But when you fire up, you have to then choose your color at that point.
Sure.
So all 3 are in it, built into the system, but you pick your color.
You always pick
And
yellow.
then-
Pikachu to follow you around.
Yeah, right.
Well, yeah, but then your friends, you know, in theory, your friends, if they pick the opposite colors, that's how you would trade and do all that stuff.
Well, they've never included online play with these classic systems yet, so I don't know.
Well, you can always put a cable hooked into it.
Go old
Yeah.
school?
Yeah.
Old school
Yeah,
cable?
old school,
Yeah,
man.
old school.
Come on, you can't like skip.
Bring back the old school accessories. Hell
Yes.
yeah. Forget modern technology.
Exactly.
Like, who needs a backlit screen?
Yeah, right. Oh. No, please.
Let's go back to the green screen.
Yeah, no.
You can't
no,
see.
No, please, no.
Was fine back then because it was like, oh my god, it's so amazing. But all right, so we got to
play
come
my
up with the
games
top 10.
past, like 5 o'clock at night.
So here's what we're gonna do for the top 10. I'm gonna go around and we're each gonna give one game that we want to make the list, and we're just gonna keep doing that until we hit 10, and then we will go back over the list and see if we agree or if we feel like we need to bump one off for a different game, and we can make different arguments for it, etc. So I guess we'll go opposite way around. I went last, so I guess I'll go first this time. And I'm going to say Link's Awakening has to be on there. Just, it's the game that got me into Zelda, so I have an affinity for that game. And then next, I believe, would be Game Over Jesse.
Yeah, alright. I'm going to go ahead and say Metroid 2 because I feel that with the recent 3DS remake, a lot of fans would be interested to go back and play the original. So, Metroid 2.
Okay, that's good. Nintendo Guru, what do we got?
I gotta say Tetris. I think Tetris has to be on there. I mean, they even just included it into Nintendo World Championship, so I can't see why it wouldn't make it.
Right, Eric.
You already know mine.
Pokemon. Any specific version?
Well, like I said, you have to have.
I know. I'm just saying. Is there anyone that you prefer over the rest?
I had blue to begin with, so
that's your preference.
That's my preference. I mean, I like yellow.
We'll just write down Pokemon for now, and we'll see what the rest of the list ends up looking like. All right, I'm gonna go. Looking at my list here. No, I'm gonna go Kirby's Dream Land. For me, that's just where it all started for Kirby. Yep, Game Over Jesse.
I'm going to say Final Fantasy 2 on the Game Boy.
Okay.
Again, that was one of the first handheld RPGs that I played, so I got a strong connection with it.
Awesome. What do we got, Bobby?
Super Mario Land 2, the 6 golden coins. I think that was probably, in my opinion, the better of the series. Definitely better than 1. It ramped way up and started to actually give that cartoony look to Mario that we become accustomed to after Super Mario Bros. 2 on the NES. So that one I definitely liked. I would think I'd put that one in there.
Sure. All right, Mr. Eric.
Well, I know a couple of them were brought up, but Donkey Kong Land. You guys can fight over which one.
I mean, you're just that's your like total cop with Pokemon.
Hey,
you can fight
shut
over
up.
which one. Donkey Kong Land. You guys can fight over which one.
Hey, you know what?
All right.
Again,
we'll get a debate if the games end up staying on the list. We'll get a debate going over which one. Oh, I forgot the Kong part. I just said Donkey Land on my list.
Well, that's
Donkey Land.
Hey, that might be a fun game.
So that should give us that. We're at what, 8?
8.
All right, so we got 2 more. I'm gonna let our special guest come up with these 2. We'll go over to Game Over Jesse over there.
All right, Super Mario Land 2 is on here, but what about Wario Land, which would be Super Mario Land 3? Does that count as Mario because technically you're playing as Wario?
Oh, that's a tough one. I think that would count as just a Wario game.
All right, because that's the one that I'm going with
Right,
because
we'll
it offers similar gameplay,
Yeah.
but it's still unique
Yeah,
to
it's a different
Wario.
character. Yep.
And I want to go, because I don't feel like we have many sports games at all with this. I got to go NBA Jam, because I feel like that's probably one of the best in terms of like co-op, like with your friends and such. So if they do the link cables and stuff, I would definitely include NBA Jam in this.
Wait. There was an NBA Jam for the Game Boy?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
How is this
Yes.
news to me?
Maybe it wasn't advertised back then. I don't know.
That's because it wasn't Zelda. That's why.
Yeah,
Oh,
right.
yeah.
Right. It wasn't Zelda.
Right?
Oh man. So here's what we got right now for the top 10. We got Link's Awakening, Metroid 2, Return of Samus, Tetris, one of the Pokemon games, Kirby Dream Land, Final Fantasy 2, Super Mario Land 2, one of the Donkey Kong Land games, Wario Land, and NBA Jam. Is there any games that you guys feel like deserve to come on that list and knock anything off?
Paperboy.
Paperboy.
I should have threw this on the list. Just I knew it was gonna get bumped off. I wanted to put on. I was gonna nominate Teenage Mutant Turtles first because that's like my favorite Game Boy game.
Yeah.
But there's no way people are gonna agree to keep that on the list. I just know it. Any of the like Aladdin, DuckTales, I just know no one's gonna agree. There's so many great games.
Mm-hmm.
You mean we hit on a lot of the big ones? You know, we have our Mario game in there. We have our Zelda. We have our Metroid.
Got to figure out which Donkey Kong Land do you want in there.
Yeah. Well, we'll get to. So, I mean, do you guys have anything you feel should be on this list that we didn't bring up?
I mean, I feel like all the heavy hitters are there, honestly, and I don't think that you can. I mean, the only one I would probably say is the throwaway is probably NBA Jam. Like that was probably one you could pull out and put anything else in there that you wanted to. But I really, when I look at this list, top to bottom, what we picked, I don't see any flaws in it. Essentially, so I mean, you have all the major characters through Nintendo. The only game that's probably missing that none of us brought up is Kid Icarus.
Ooh, yeah, that would definitely be on there.
So I think that's probably the only one I would probably say would have to go on that's not on here. But none of us even brought it up. But when I look at the list, I think it's flawless, pretty much. I mean, it's pretty damn good.
It's hard to argue. I mean, we're talking about some of like the best games ever made here. Especially for handheld. Like if you just look at handheld only systems, it's really hard to argue against most of these games. I mean, you can argue to the blue ones. Oh, what Pokemon game's the best? But this started it all.
Yeah.
Oh, totally forgot about Kid Icarus.
And you even went through the list of.
Well, I saw it on the list of Game Boy games, and I'm like, someone else is gonna mention that, right? Like I left off some obvious ones because I'm like, no one's gonna like. I want to go for the ones that I played that I really really love that no one's gonna think of because I knew I was gonna go last for this one, so I was like, well, you know, and at the end of the day, only 4 got eliminated, and I knew like there's no way Link's Awakening was making it back to me. It wasn't gonna get past GameOverJesse. Let alone was I ever going to make it back to me. I didn't think Super Mario Land would make it back to me. Metroid 2 I didn't think would either, or Tetris. But I'm just like, you know what? I don't care. Those 4 games to me are like need to be included, and they're basically included. Man, I mean, well, let's determine which Donkey Kong Land do we think is the one that deserves? Because I know. Nintendo Guru, you said 2 and I said 3.
I said 2. I mean, honestly, it doesn't matter to me. That's not.
They're all
basically
flip a coin.
the same. You know what I mean?
I don't even have a coin on me to flip.
I mean, honestly, like when I look at lists, like when you look at top 25 lists or whatever, they include the whole series, like all 3 of them. They did something that was just like unbelievable in terms of like look and the way it felt and the way it played. So, I mean, if you want 3, we can go 3. That's fine. I actually think that 3 probably had the better, honestly, the better reviews and better game.
I just enjoyed it better. Like, it wasn't the first one I played, but I liked it better than the prior ones. All right, so I guess we'll stick with 3 on that. Now, for Pokemon, I'm gonna kind of make an argument like this. It's Red and Blue versus Yellow.
Yeah.
Because Red and Blue are the same game. Different Pokemon in each game.
Right.
Yellow is kind of sort of the same game, but they made a few changes to it, including obviously the fact that Pikachu follows you around. That was kind of like the big aesthetic change that everyone could see. I mean, my heart wants to go Yellow so bad.
Yeah.
Because I think Yellow is the superior game. But, I mean, it's just like with like Tetris. How do you go against what started it all?
Originals, yeah.
You know? What do you guys think?
I feel like
go ahead, Jesse.
If you only had one Pokemon game of the original 3, then it would definitely be Yellow. Just because there's extra features, they've fixed some of the issues with Red and Blue, and having Pikachu follow you around is a big plus for a
Yeah,
lot of people.
it matched like the animated series.
Yeah.
That was
So
also great about that.
I feel it would definitely be Pokemon Yellow. If Nintendo did end up making this, I feel that
Well, they put all three.
Tetris would yeah. Well, yeah, but
There's gonna be more than 10 games.
going with Tetris that you mentioned, I feel it would definitely be on there because that is the original handheld mobile
it's
puzzle
the most
game.
popular puzzle game in the world,
Yeah.
even to this day. So, okay. Yeah, I mean, you do make a good point. I think we're talking about, this is our top 10. I mean, obviously, there's going to be more than 10 games coming out. A lot of games that we might bump off the list or weren't mentioned are going to end up on a classic system if it exists. It's a Game Boy Classic system. It's going to have between 20 and 30 games on it, easily.
Yeah. There'll probably be 2 or 3 that are just random obscure games that none of us even thought of as well.
So, like, obviously, I think all the Pokemon games are going to be on it, but for our purposes, on our 10, I mean, I got to go... My vote's got to go with Yellow, because it's the better game.
If they can somehow tweak it so you can catch all of the Pokemon.
Well, yeah, that was the caveat.
That
was the caveat. You couldn't catch them all in that game, and that was back in the day when catch them all was like one of the main...
Their slogans. Not catch them all, or got to catch a few, and then get bored and stop playing.
Oh, they brought back the Got 'em Catch 'em All for us.
Oh, jeez.
But, got to catch them all, 700 and whatever it is now. There's so many. Is there any counter arguments on that? Anyone want to make an argument for the OG?
No.
No?
No, I think, like I said, I think
we're
that
a pretty agreed crowd here.
Yeah, right.
I just think that I feel like Nintendo is either going to include all 3, or like I said, they're going to make you pick one.
Sure.
And
That's
I don't
okay.
think it's one or the other. It's not going to be. I think it all depends on like if they do link cables. Because if they do link cables, I think they're going to want to go old school with it. And it would not surprise me if, honestly, if there's a way to do link cables with like USB-C, and then it hooks to your Switch, and then when Pokemon games start to come in, if you could transfer your Pokemon from your Game Boy Classic over.
I think what they're going to do,
that would be interesting,
because obviously they've been kind of merging like a little bit of modern tech with the classic systems, right? So you have the HDMI out and everything, and then like perfect pixel perfect and all these different modes. I don't think they're going to go with link cables at all. If they want to avoid internet connections, they're just going to go local wireless play like they have on Switch already.
Yeah.
Well, what about the whenever they brought Silver and the first Pokemon games, Red and Blue, to the 3DS, they included the online to where you could trade your Pokemon to the Pokebank or whatever it was called.
Yeah. I think they would avoid that because they've been trying to avoid having their classic systems connected to the internet. Which, I mean, hasn't stopped hackers and everything from hacking them to whatever and loading 70 games. But, I mean, that was I think that's their whole purpose, is they didn't want them connected to the internet to make it a little harder to do that. And I think until they show us they're willing to connect them to the internet and update them or anything, I'm just going to assume they're not going to. But, I mean, they could. I mean, it'd be cool to do the old school link cables. I don't... It's so old school, I don't know if anyone would actually want to do it, because as a child, wireless didn't exist, so we didn't really care. But today, everything's wireless, so... everything except for these microphones.
Yeah, right. And our headsets.
I mean, wireless microphones do exist. There's just so much audio delay. All right, cool. Well, I think that's gonna do it then. I think we got a really solid top list here. Gonna go over it one more time for our listeners and viewers. We got Link's Awakening, Metroid 2: Return to Samus, Tetris, Pokemon Yellow, Kirby Dream Land, Final Fantasy 2, Super Mario Land 2, Donkey Kong Land 3, Wario Land. We're going to leave NBA Jam, I suppose. I think all of us agree that Kid Icarus should probably make the list over it. But we also agree there needs to be a sports game in there somewhere.
Yeah.
Like, there just has to be. So we'll leave that on there with a nice mention of Kid Icarus.
I guess you could, again, with the small argument of Wario Land being similar to Super Mario Land, you could maybe bump that just because of the similar gameplay.
Could. You guys let us know what your top 10 Game Boy games are, which ones you would put on the Game Boy Classic if it happens. We're not saying it is. It's rumored. Who knows? It makes sense to happen someday.